Austin's life was marked by his father's absence. He could only see Alexander through photographs. The strange thing was that these photos showed a cheerful and handsome man, in stark contrast to his always gloomy and perpetually dissatisfied mother. Kirill, Austin's father, was a favorite among his peers and had a penchant for extreme activities. He began with motorcycle races, then shifted to mountaineering, disappearing into the mountains for weeks at a time. His latest passion was cave diving, a highly challenging and dangerous pursuit known as hydrospeleology. Kirill was an experienced speleo diver, but one day he failed to resurface. When the news of his disappearance reached Alexander, a girl informed her that she was expecting Kirill's child. Austin became the one who provided the reason for his lonely mother to continue living after losing her son. He was an average boy, not indulging in extreme activities, but occasionally causing worry for his mother and grandmother. He inherited some of his father's recklessness and developed a love for the sea and motorcycles. His notebooks were filled with drawings of ships and famous motorcycle brands. However, when Austin was 8 years old, something significant happened in his life. Eva got married, but she didn't disclose to Ekaterina that her husband, Alexei, had imposed a condition: Austin would not live with them. Instead, she asked her mother-in-law to take in the boy for a while, explaining that it would help Austin get used to living with her and her husband while they adjusted to their new life together. Ekaterina agreed to this arrangement. Eva became pregnant and eventually gave birth to twins, a girl named Katenka and a boy named Vitalik. As time passed, Austin didn't find the right moment to retrieve his son from his grandmother, and he noticed that the boy was content living with her. His grandmother, meanwhile, was getting older and sometimes needed his assistance. From the age of 14, Austin started earning a little, with a dream to buy a motorcycle. After completing his school education, Austin enrolled in a college to study navigation and attended a driving school. The day after he obtained his driver's license, he purchased his first motorcycle. A few years went by and Austin had already been to sea twice as a ship mechanic. He also made significant changes in his personal life by deciding to get married. He introduced his fiancée to his grandmother, and they instantly bonded. Leela, the fiancée, was a university student and held a job, although her parents could have supported her financially. Austin's mother, however, did not approve of his choice of wife or the idea of marriage itself. She expressed her concerns about rushing into marriage, citing that there would be plenty of other opportunities. She also mentioned the growing responsibilities associated with raising Katenka and Vitalik, insinuating that Austin's father, Alexei, was no longer able to support his children. Austin defended his choices, noting that his mother hadn't previously shown much concern about his clothing or lifestyle, at least when it came to sneakers and jeans. Austin had been earning his own income since the age of 14. During the summer, a labor detachment was organized at the port, where young men could work on city cleanup projects. Austin's mother was not pleased with this arrangement and expressed her discontent. The wedding was scheduled for August 3, with a ceremony at noon and a simple celebration in a cafe involving 10 to 12 people. Austin's mother did not occupy a place of honor. Instead, Catherine sat next to Layla's parents. Austin left for a sailing expedition with his beloved women after the wedding, while Eva was left behind to handle the situation. 2 weeks later, Catherine didn't wake up, and Lily had to arrange all the morning events with the assistance of her parents. A few days later on a Saturday, a district police officer, along with Eva and Alexei, appeared at the apartment and asked Lily to show her passport. The officer explained that these individuals claimed that she was living in the apartment illegally, as it belonged to their son. Lily stated that she had submitted the required documentation to the precinct officer, but had not yet obtained a registration mark because she had recently received a new passport in her husband's last name. The policeman inquired about her husband's whereabouts, as he understood that he was away on a sailing expedition. Lily offered to call her husband to provide an explanation. The situation appeared to be becoming more complicated and involved legal and housing issues. Her suitcase, taking a folder of documents from the bedside table. She then left the apartment, and the policeman sealed the door. Eva and Alexei followed but were allowed to go home. When Lilia appeared at her parents' apartment with her suitcase, they were surprised. After understanding the situation, they mentioned that both Lilia and Austin were responsible for their current problems, as they should have sorted out their documents in a timely manner to avoid these issues. For 2 days, Lilia couldn't reach her husband, but on the third day, Austin called her from someone else's phone. He explained that he had accidentally broken his phone and would remain out of contact until the end of the flight. In addition to the earlier unpleasant news, Lilia informed him about another issue. She had seen his younger brother, Vitalik, on Roman's Harley. Lilia explained to Austin that Vitalik was only 15, and she had tried to contact his mother, but she didn't listen to her. Concerned, Austin promised to call her himself and requested the precinct officer's phone number in the evening, just in case. Eva handed the garage keys to Lila. As a result, Vitalik took the motorcycle for a ride without permission. He was planning to file a theft report right away. After Eva left, Lila's father, who had been observing the situation, gathered some tools and suggested that they go to the garage and add an additional lock or even replace the existing one. With such relatives, anything could happen. When Austin returned from his flight, he knew that Lila was at the university and decided to drop off his things at home to surprise her after her classes. He was aware that the apartment had been sealed but assumed that, as the owner, he could enter without issues. However, he noticed that the paper seals were missing from the door. Simultaneously, rhythmic music was playing from the apartment. Using his keys, he unlocked the door and discovered an unfamiliar guy sitting with his back to him, looking at a laptop screen and nodding to the music. Austin placed his hand on the guy's shoulder, startling him. Nervously, the guy asked who Austin was and how he got there. Austin identified himself as the owner of the apartment and asked the guy's identity. The student introduced himself as Pashka and mentioned that he and his friends, Anton and Maria, were renting the apartment for the year. They had paid for 3 months, but had only stayed for 2. The student inquired whether they could get a refund for the 3rd month. Austin responded that he had not received any money from them. He asked for Victor's phone, who was the guy's name, and called Lila while they waited for his friends to arrive. Upon arriving home, Lila found the students had already packed their things and were standing in the hallway. She asked them where they were going, and they mentioned they were heading to the dormitory, as their parents were going to look for another apartment. Lila inspected the apartment, finding it in disarray. She joked with Austin, suspecting that their outfits were among the bags of construction debris. Lila decided they needed to clean the bedroom and kitchen immediately and would tackle the rest the following day. The next morning at 8 a.m., the doorbell rang persistently. Austin went to answer it and found the district police officer there once more. The officer asked how Austin ended up in a sealed apartment. Austin explained that he was the owner and questioned the claims filed against him by his wife. He also mentioned that his mother had rented the apartment to students for 2 months. When the district police officer left after some questions, Austin inquired about how his mother obtained the keys. Lila believed that she might have taken them when she was packing and removed the bundle of keys from the hook by the door, which used to belong to Lila's grandmother. On Sunday, Lila's mother arrived at Roman's apartment. The day before, Victor's parents and Pashka's parents had expressed their concerns and wanted to resolve the situation. Austin initially thought that Lila's mother had come to discuss the situation of her children being evicted from the apartment they had paid for. However, Eva had a completely different matter in mind. She believed that Austin had unfairly taken possession of Catherine's apartment, and from her perspective, the apartment should be divided among 4 individuals: herself, Roman, Katenka, and Vitalik. Austin asked why she believed this was the case, and Eva's response was because she was the mother. Katenka was Austin's sister, and Vitalik was his brother. She saw them all as heirs. Austin clarified that they were not actually relatives in the way Maria believed. He explained that according to Catherine's will, her only heir was Austin, her grandson whom she had raised and brought up. The will was kept with a notary, and a copy of it was stored with the apartment's documents that Lila had taken with her when she was packing, placing them in a key-locked drawer of the bedside table. When she later moved her things, she decided to take these documents with her, which turned out to be a wise decision. Maria was deeply unsettled by this revelation and could not accept it. She attempted to challenge the will in court but was unsuccessful. Despite this, she continued to claim that Catherine had left her inheritance to 2 out of her 3 grandchildren. Some people believed and sympathized with her, further complicating the situation.